To everything there is a season, a time to talk, a time to reflect, a time to provide, a time to find comfort, and a time today to illuminate the painful reality of systemic racism. To everything there is a time. This has to be our time. This is the time to stand together for real change in whatever way we can. To acknowledge and affirm what Reverend Al Sharpton said when he called out in Minneapolis this week. What happened to George Floyd happens every day in this country, in education and health services, and in every arena of American life. It's time for us to stand up. What white people think needs to be done right now may not be what our friends in the Black community need from us as allies. For 25 years, almost 25 years, I've had a deep and personal relationship with my dear friend, Dr. Walt Whitman, and the Soul Children of Chicago. For almost 25 years. They are our family. When they have joys, we celebrate with them. When they have sorrows, we mourn with them. When they're in pain, we are in pain. We can't stand idly by. On Sunday, as I drove through Chicago under curfew, I reached out to Dr. Whitman and talked to my friend. And I knew that tonight, I didn't want you to hear my words. I wanted you to hear his words. I wanted Dr. Whitman to address the congregation tonight. His words, his voice is what we need to hear. Walt, I don't need to ask you how you're doing, because I know how you are doing. And thank you for being here with us tonight. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Shabbat Shalom to everybody, to my family, to Rabbi Lowenstein, to Cantor Markowitz. Thank you all for inviting me to your service. I've enjoyed every minute of what I've heard up to this point, and I appreciate the idea that your own rabbi of your congregation is open to say, I want to hear what is going on, what really is happening, because a lot of times the image that the media is portraying is not necessarily what it is. There is a saying that it says the riots are the language of the unheard. And so a lot of what you're hearing and what you're sensing is people that have not been heard and not have been heard for a long time. And what's happening now is that people are actually rising up and speaking out. But I've shared this with Rabbi, and I told him, I said that what's happening in my neighborhood right now, I went out for the first time last Tuesday, and I kind of did a march from 29th and King Drive to 51st and King Drive, and to see what has happened since we've been in quarantine. The Marianos, the Walmarts, the Walgreens, everything is gone. There's nothing here in our neighborhood. And so that when you hear people saying that it was us that destroyed it, I would actually say that we've been deceived in a way like we've never been deceived before. I think that what has happened is that people have stirred up something. There's a very interesting plan that has been contrived, and it's causing what we are seeing to sound like something else. But the unheard people are needing to be heard, and for your own leader to say, I want to hear what you have to say, and I want you to share it with your congregation. What he's doing now is what every pastor, every rabbi, every imam, whatever, should do to their congregations, to say, we're willing to hear you, we're willing to listen, we're willing to actually understand and not judge you or prejudge you. There's a lot of things that is going on in our nation that is devastating, and it's happening in most in a very powerful way. You're seeing the pandemic, then you're seeing the economic crisis, and now you're seeing the racism, and all of it is converged together as one. And we're trying to figure out, what are we going to do next? Where are we going next? And so when Rabbi called me last week and asked me, what was I feeling? What was I thinking? What was happening? What are the soul children? Do we need anything? Because at this point, we're at that point where, we're needing, I heard you all say what Cantor Markowitz said, that this is a partnership. This is a friendship. This is family. This is a covenant. And that's what we've experienced with Shalom for the last, well, I didn't know it was 25 years. He made me feel so old. But anyway, I digress. Anyway,
It's only 18 years here at Shalom.
But the point is that we've been in this relationship, this covenant, for years, and never not once. There's never been a moment that we've had that has been tense. Never a moment that we've never been able to talk frankly and openly with each other. And I believe that when you have those kind of relationships with people of different faiths and different cultures, I believe that you can have what you're even having right now, a peaceful moment. And I believe that even when I marched on Tuesday, that was one of my alumni that grew up in the Soul Children that actually created that, Reverend Pastor Chris Harris. And there was thousands of people, and they were marching down the street, and there was not one riot. There was not one disturbance. There was nothing that happened in that. And we had white, we had Muslims, we had Jews, all of us together. And I said, well, this is very interesting that we could have this many people and no riot. What is it that has happened in this situation that is different from all the other situations? There was never anybody that was there to what we call hijack the protest or the march, because there was a spirit in the room that was so peaceful. I mean, spirit in the atmosphere. And that's what, prayerfully, what even happens from here going out will be a peaceful atmosphere. And there's a word that says, you cannot conquer what you're afraid to confront. And when you begin to take that attitude, says, let us go and really talk about it. This George Floyd, the things that are happening now is not necessarily because of George Floyd. I think it just opened up Pandora's box and it took the lid off. But it has really nothing to do with George. George has just been used as that one initiator, because of, I believe that the whole movement of what took place came because of a camera. Remind you that it was a camera. Somebody caught this on camera and they filmed it, just like what we're looking at now, and the emotion and the feeling of George. That moment he called out for his mama, the moment he said, I can't breathe. Something about that moment on camera shifted the whole nation. And so prayerfully, even what's happening on this camera, what's happening at this moment in Shalom will shift a nation, will shift the thought process of people to say that what we're looking at is not what really is. It is actually what we call the rabbit in the forest, that there's been a rabbit. There was a story of a rabbit. There's a forest fire that was going on, and people was trying to figure out where the fire was breaking out in all these different places. And there was a rabbit that was in the forest that was running to get out of the way of the fire, but it had caught fire. And every place it went in the forest, it was end up setting a fire. And people was trying to figure out, why is this fire? What's happening? And they found out that it was the rabbit that they never saw. And so my reasoning for saying that is that there's a rabbit that we're not seeing that's starting the chaos and the riots, the looting and all of the stuff that you're hearing about. Those are not people from our neighborhood. That's something that's stirred up. That's a bunny, that's a rabbit that starts the riot. And because of the energy and the fervor of what's going on, the riots begin to take on not a peaceful protest. Now it's become a destructive protest. That's what we're seeing. We don't operate necessarily that organized in that way, where we're literally doing it simultaneously all across the globe. There is something else working behind the scenes. And again, until we hear what the real pain is, and I think Al Sharpton really spoke to it yesterday at the service, that, we've been suppressed for so long that now it's just time to get the knee off a neck. And we're at a point now where we're saying, get the knee off of our neck so that we can breathe and we can begin to grow and we can begin to flourish. And this is what's going to need to happen now in our neighborhood. Like, I'm looking at my neighborhood now. You can't go to the ATM. You can't go to the store. You can't go to the Walgreens. The seniors can't get their medicines. It is something now. It's like we got to start all over again. And so thank you, Rabbi, for giving me the opportunity even to share with the congregation. And I pray that you all will see and continue to pray for the nation, for our nation. We're a people that are strong. We're a nation that is strong, and we are going to come out of this better than ever before. And so now, said, I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. We're going to change the world with our voice, one voice at a time. I love you.
Amen.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Walt, thank you so much. And just so that everyone knows, that is a temporary background behind you. That's not your apartment. That is your green screen. That's your temporary background.
It will be my apartment very, very, very soon.
Okay. But tonight, Walt, I got to tell you that we stand with you. And my son posted on Instagram to a friend, and he also said, we stand in front of you and we stand behind you and we stand to the side of you. And that we promise that we can do all that we can to protect you, to make ourselves in this process vulnerable. And in making us vulnerable, maybe we'll become a little more enraged. I'm committed to protecting, and I'm not sure how, I'm not sure where, I'm not sure when, but I am totally committed to make sure that you have the same privileges that I have. On your amazing social justice Shabbat CD, you have a song that you sing. And I got to tell you, my first inclination, if there wasn't a pandemic right now, you can rest assured that the Soul Children would have been invited to sing at this service tonight.
And we would have sang.
Because we would have wanted to be together, because you are our family. But there's a beautiful song that we recorded when you were with us a couple years ago, called Shelter Us. And it seemed like that was the song that I wanted to hear tonight. And that was the song that I wanted everyone to hear. And I didn't want to just have you sing it or have the cantor sing it, but I wanted your kids to sing it. And so it is Shelter Us. It is that time that we ask for God to shelter us. And that as we do so, we feel God's shelter, we feel God's protection, and we know that you're not alone, and we're not alone. And as you said, we are going to be better. We're going to be better together, one step at a time. Amen.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותגננו ועצה טובה מלפניך. Let us lie down in peace. Help us wake up with life. Shelter us, shelter us, shelter us. Light in the darkness that seems to find us. Fill the hunger in our hearts that bind us. Shelter לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומנו